Back everybody to the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise here on MLB The Show 20. As today we hit the trade deadline here at the end of July, and our Pirates are in a very different position than we were in a year ago. Last season we were towards the bottom of the National League, selling off some of our decent players in exchange for prospects. Well, this year it's the total opposite. We are 62-50, half a game ahead of Milwaukee for first place in the NL Central, and also very much alive in the wild card battle. If Milwaukee were to pass us, we would likely finish as the number 2 wild card unless the Diamondbacks or the Phillies catch up. So if we keep playing good ball, we should make the playoffs, but there's no guarantee because it is a very close race for both the wild card and the division. So this team has to go out and make some moves. Maybe not sell off the top prospects, but look for guys who don't cost too much in a trade and could be good additions for this season and maybe beyond. So currently looking at the team as it is right now, looking at the numbers, Kevin Newman has had a good month of July, but has still been relatively disappointing this season. Only hitting .255. I would have liked to have seen him play better, but he was hitting like .230 heading into the month. Brian Reynolds, still another great season. He is starting to hit for more power, which is good. Josh Bell's obviously been outstanding, the overwhelming favorite for NL MVP. And obviously he is the face of his team for years to come. Dylan Carlson continuing a very solid rookie year. He is the favorite for the NL Rookie of the Year, currently hitting .257 with 18 home runs and 65 RBIs. Bo Bichette had a rough month, but still playing pretty good baseball. Mark Hanna, we acquired him last episode for the Rangers in exchange for a B potential relief prospect. And Hanna's a 73 overall, but his numbers are MVP worthy. 334 average, 436 OBP, 1,044 OPS, 24 home runs, 74 RBIs. If Josh Bell does not somehow win MVP, there's a chance it would be Mark Hanna. So really good to see him playing well. And the first week as a Pirate has been pretty successful for him. He is a free agent. He probably won't cost too much, so maybe we do have him in our plans for the next season or two. Francisco Mejia still having an awesome year. O'Neal Cruz's had a very good month. I believe he's now second for NL Rookie of the Year behind Dylan Carlson. Chris Davis, decent bench bat. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, we acquired him recently from the Rangers. He has not been all that good since we acquired him, but the rest of the bench has been solid. Jacob Stallings pretty good. Tim Beckham pretty good, and Matt Duffy is still hitting for very good average at .324. So we have addressed the lineup, adding guys like Canha and Kiner-Falefa. So I think the main focus for today's trade deadline will be pitching. And I do like where the pitching is at. The starting rotation has been very solid. Jameson Taillon still the favorite for Cy Young. Joe Musgrove is doing well. Jordan Yamamoto has been absolutely outstanding these past couple months. But Trevor Williams and Mitch Keller, neither of them have been awful this year. Both of them have sub-5 ERAs. But neither of them have been all that great. We could look to acquire another starting pitcher. We also have the opportunity to maybe move a guy like Brandon Waddle up to the main rotation as well. He definitely has the stamina to be a starter. And then the bullpen, might want to add another reliever. The bullpen is still doing really well. Michael Feliz was an all-star. Rios, Clase, they're doing well. Edrubre Ramos sucks, but Aroides Vizcaino has been excellent. Ken Giles as well has been pretty darn good. So I think maybe another starter, maybe a bullpen arm, and maybe another bench bat. I think that's probably the goal of this team. We're probably not going to acquire any superstars just because we don't want to sell off the farm. So I wanted to look for starters, mainly a lefty, because we don't have lefty in the rotation. We could have gone with Brandon Waddle, but there were a few enticing names here that I did end up considering. The Rangers had two options. One of them is Lance Lynn. He is a righty, but he's also really good in this game. He is a free agent at the end of the season, but he performs in sim really well. Unfortunately, they would not do that for our offer, but they would do it for Mike Minor, who is a lefty, 33 years old, 80 overall. He's having a pretty good season. He's a well-rounded pitcher, as you can see. He doesn't do any one thing particularly well, but he doesn't do any one particular thing badly. He's also a free agent at the end of the year, so we don't have to worry about paying him a long-term contract. He can slide into the rotation and be the lefty arm we need. So who are we trading? The first one is Brennan Malone, a raw prospect who was part of the Starling Marte trade a couple of seasons ago. The reason why I'm willing to include him is because he has not progressed at all this season. As you can see, he really has not gotten that much better. He's performed extremely poorly in AAA, or AA, sorry. As a starting pitcher for pretty much the whole season, his ERA is at like 8. He's been atrocious. Another player on the deal is Luis Nieto. Decent bat, pretty fast, but I don't think he's a long-term part of our plans. And then Adrubre Ramos, because he's terrible. He has upside. He's only 27 years old with B potential, but he just has been bad. So the Rangers are getting really good value here. 2 developmental prospects, along with a guy who they can try to build around for their future in Adrubre Ramos, in exchange for a guy who is a free agent at the end of the season. I also wanted to look for relievers over the age of 30. Royce Guyano is there, but I wanted to add another bullpen arm to this team, and we're going to go after, from the New York Mets, Dalen Betances. Seth Lugo is also an option. I tried to get Edwin Diaz, but Dalen Betances will be the pickup. Longtime member of the New York Yankees, flamethrower, does not allow hits, throws for a bunch of strikeouts. He's just... The issue with him throughout his whole career is the control and the walks. He allows a few too many base runners sometimes, mainly with walks. This season with the Mets, he has an ERA at about 3.3. He's also a free agent at the end of the season as well. So once again, we don't have to worry about paying him big bucks. So who will be in this deal? The first player we're going to be trading away is catcher Jacob Stallings. The reason why I'm willing to trade Stallings is because Isaiah Kiner-Falefa can be the backup catcher, and we don't really need Stallings because I feel like his best role is as a starter because of his great defensive abilities. He doesn't have much of a bat, which I think makes him pretty pointless off the bench. So, for the Mets' sake, why not get a veteran catcher who you can start? Not a great hitter. He's not terrible at the plate, but he's not necessarily a lead bench bat. And then the other player is a starting pitching prospect, Ernest Alvarez, currently playing with the AA team. But here, as I said, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa can play catcher. His primary position isn't catcher, but he can do it. So looking at Alvarez, he's 26 years old, 63 overall with B potential. I don't think he's a huge part of our future. He has some upside, but at the age of 26, his peak in the majors will be very short-lived. So this is how the rotation will look like now. Mike Minor will replace Trevor Williams in the starting rotation. Williams will now be the long reliever. I could have made this Mitch Keller, but I wanted to keep Keller in the starting rotation because I still believe in him. Whereas Trevor Williams is less likely to be part of our future since he is already 28 years old. Dalen Betances, meanwhile, will be one of the setup guys replacing the role that Adrubre Ramos had, and Brandon Waddle will now become more of a middle reliever, but also a guy who can still pitch 2 to 3 innings at a time if needed. So, a guy who I kind of wanted to trade was Chris Davis. You know, he's a solid player. He can hit for power, but he hasn't hit for a ton of power this season. In 179 at-bats, only 9 home runs. He's a guy who doesn't provide a lot of contact, doesn't provide a lot of defense. And for a bench bat, I'd like to see his average or his power really high, and neither of those are the case. So he's going to be traded to the Twins for an outfield prospect named Trey Cabbage. He can play first, third, and both corner outfield spots. Really good glove, solid contact, decent on the base passes. He's a well-rounded player, so we get another young piece to our outfield. And then for the Twins, they're not a very good team, but maybe they see something in Davis that they can build around for the next few years, because even though they're not playing well this season, the Twins are talented. So I wanted to go after one more bench bat, a guy who can hit for power, and the main options over 30 were Chris Davis, Eric Thames, and Jay Bruce. Thames doesn't make sense because he's playing really well on a contender. Bruce, meanwhile, I don't think is good enough for our standards, so we were able to find a trade. We're going to be giving up a few decent prospects. Catcher Ray Flynn Lorenzo, second baseman Steven Alamais, and outfielder Trey Hoffman. 3 players with potential, but neither of them have insane futures, to the Seattle Mariners for Mitch Henagar. Henagar is a perfect bench bat. He hits for power and contact against both righties and lefties. He's been solid these past 2 seasons. This is a guy who can hit around 250. He can hit 15 to 25 home runs a year. Maybe if he's used as a bench bat, it's probably closer to 15. And unlike the other players we have acquired, he's not a free agent at the end of the year. He has 1 more year of arbitration, and then he will be a free agent. So we have 2 years of Henagar coming off the bench. So that is the final move this team will be making for the deadline. He will be an everyday player against DHs, which means he will rarely start. But he will be a main bench bat, and if one of our outfielders needs a day off, he's going to be the guy to call. So I think that's a really good deadline for the Pirates. Maybe didn't get anybody for this long-term future, but didn't give up a whole ton of assets for a few guys who can really help the playoff run out now. as we got a pretty big game here. First one after the trade deadline in Milwaukee against the Brewers. This has obviously been a tight division race all season long, with the Pirates now ahead by just half a game. On the mound for Milwaukee would be Freddie Peralta, 10-6, 3.16 ERA for him. And it would be quite the interesting start here in the top of the first inning, where things will get interesting. One out here for Brian Reynolds, and he rips that one into right for extra bases. Places that one perfectly, and he's going around second, try to get to third. It's going to be a close throw, but Brian Reynolds would be safe, and that'll be a one-out triple for Brian. And then here's Josh Bell, launches a bomb in right field, nearly into the second deck for a 2-run shot, his 39th home run of the season, and the Pirates will take a quick 2-0 lead. Next batter is the rookie, Dylan Carlson. That one's grounded into right center field for a single, so maybe the Pirates won't only get 2 runs, maybe a little bit more. 2 gone now for Oneil Cruz. He's shopping gap into right center. Carlson will score, and that'll be an RBI double for Oneil Cruz. Next batter, Francisco Mejia gets that one into right for a base hit. Cruz headed home, and they wouldn't even attempt to get him out, so now it's 4-0. Next batter, Mark Hanna, 1-1 pitch, and he crushes it into left center field. That one would go over the fence, and the Pirates would take a 6-0 lead. 389 feet for Hanna, his 25th of the year. And the Brewers will make a pitching change right there. Peralta's day would end. Bubba Derby is in. As Mike Minor, he got the start for the Pirates, but he actually got to hit before he first pitched, and he would ground out in his first Pirate at bat. His batting average was 1,000 for the season before that play. He was 2 for 2. So here's a look at Minor. His first start as a Pirate, and his first batter, Jorge Polanco, would get a base hit. Reynolds tried to be aggressive, go for the catch rather than conservative, and just let the single happen. And because of that, Polanco was able to get the double. Runners on the corners now for Manuel Marco with 2 outs, and Reynolds once again being aggressive, but it does pay off as he does make the catch. Score remains 6-0. So we advance to the second. Speaking of Reynolds, that ball is deep into right, and that one will drop for another extra base hit. Reynolds this time will stay at second for a double. Who knows, maybe Brian Reynolds can hit for the cycle. And then here's Josh Bell, going to rip that one into center. Reynolds heading home. That'll be an RBI single for Josh Bell, and the Pirates would take a 7-0 lead. On the bottom of the second, lefty on lefty crime, Daniel Murphy. He's just a window shopper because he's just looking. On the third, here's Jorge Polanco ripping a single into right. So maybe this is the inning where the Brewers start to get some damage done. Here's Ben Gamel, the next batter. Another single into right. So 2 runners on, no outs for Yelich, who would advance a runner. Then Miguel Sano would be walked, and the bases are loaded for Manuel Marco. Grounded to Bell. That should be a double play, but Oneil Cruz misses the throw to first, and 2 runs will score. That should have been a routine double play. Bell makes a nice throw to second, but Oneil Cruz overthrows Minor at first, and 2 runs will drive home. Murphy rips a single into center. I promise it's not your internet that's lagging. I don't know why the video did that. But Ronwood scores. It's now 7-3 off of the RBI. On to the fourth. Minor needs to get onto a groove. He is going to strike out Jorge Polanco, who's been hitting the ball quite well so far. Now into the fifth. Bubba Derby's pitching well. Only 1 run allowed these past 3 innings. As Josh Bell will be safe at first after Daniel Murphy bobbled it. So maybe the Pirates can extend their lead. Here comes Bo Bichette now with 1 out. What a play from Miguel Sano at third. And that'll be a 5-4-3 double play. The Brewers infield is more chemistry than a science project. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Lefty on lefty crime, but Christian Yelich will capitalize. The ladies are yelling for Yelich, his 21st home run of the season. The Brewers mascot goes down the slide, and it's now 7-4. Why not make it 7-5? Manny Margot will go deep into left center. Margot's 4th home run of the season. He's not known as a power hitter. Acquired in a trade with the Tampa Bay Rays earlier in the season for outfielder Donovan Casey, as there is Keston Hiura striking out. Good play for Mike Minor as we go to the 6th. Pitching change for Milwaukee. Jake Faria is in his 69th appearance of the season. Nice. His first batter would be Oneil Cruz. Full count pitch. And Cruz on the fastball right down Main Street will capitalize. He crushes it into right field. 441 feet for the rookie out of the Dominican Republic. His 14th home run of the season. There's Mitch Henagar, his first at bat as a Pirate. He's going fishing at the low stuff in the dirt. As we go bottom six, pitching change for Pittsburgh. Dellin Betances is now in his first appearance as a Pirate. His first batter, Manny Pena, would strike out. But that's where things get interesting, as the Brewers are going to get a base runner here off of an extra base hit. So just like that, a runner on scoring position, 1 out. This is Milwaukee's opportunity to capitalize. Next batter, Jorge Polanco, would ground it to second. Newman's going to throw home. The runner is safe. He probably should have just thrown it to first, but it doesn't matter, as the Pirates will turn a double play on the next play anyway. So it doesn't really matter. As Corbin Burns now in for Milwaukee. They've made this a game, only down by 2 now. Here's Josh Bell ripping a single into right field. His 4th at bat and his 4th time reaching base. Next batter, Dylan Carlson, hit nicely into center, but it would be caught as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Miguel Sano up. That one will go over the head of Carlson out and right for an extra base hit. Runner will score, and Milwaukee will cut the lead in half. They are now just down by 1. And there's still no outs, by the way. 2 gone now for Daniel Murphy. That one goes into right. Sano will score, and this game is tied at 8. Not a great Pirates debut for Dellin Betances, if I do say so myself. Here's Manny Pena going to strike out any of the day for Betances. 2 innings, 3 earned runs, not his best performance. As J.P. Thayerson would enter now for Milwaukee, his 57th appearance of the year, 5.27 ERA. His first batter would be Bo Bichette on the 2-2 pitch, and he will capitalize with a changeup right up the middle for a single. Bichette was thinking 2 for a second, but he would retreat back to the base. Now Mark Canha, 1-2 pitch. He's more blind than Helen Keller. That wasn't even necessarily a bad pitch to swing at. That was just a really nice slider from Thayerson. As we go to the bottom of the 8th, Michael Feliz now in for the Pirates, as Ronnie Rodriguez up. That one goes deep into right field, and the Brewers would start the inning off with a base runner nearly over the fence, but that'll be a double for Rodriguez. And just like that, the potential go-ahead run is on scoring position with no outs. 2 gone now for Christian Yelich. Michael Feliz would say, "Feliz Navidad," and get back to the dugout, you loser. As the inning would end, score remains tied at 8, and we move on to inning number 9. Let's see if either of these teams can break through and win this game, or if we'll head to extras. Pinch hitter Tim Beckham leading off the 9th, and he is swinging for the fences. Strikes out on the fastball. 2 gone now for Brian Reynolds. 3-1 count, and that one is crushed out into right. Does it have the distance? Not quite. Goes to the warning track, but it would be caught by Yelich as we go to the 9th. Ken Giles was the only loose pitcher in the bullpen, so even though this isn't a save opportunity, the Pirates didn't really have any other options. As here is Miguel Sano going to start the inning off with a strikeout. Next batter would be Manuel Marco, and he'd be the final batter, as that one is barely fair off of the foul pole and left, and this game is over. The Brewers will walk it off. Manuel Marco's 5th home run of the season, 2nd of the game, and in an outing where the Pirates started off up 7-0 with 6 runs in the first inning, the Brewers come back and lose. This is the type of win you need if you're a team fighting in the division, and that's what the Brewers got. And they now have a ton of momentum after this game. So really not good news for Pittsburgh, as the pitching was not great. Mike Minor was not all that special in his first game. Neither was Dellin Betances. And the Brewers just hit the ball really well. And meanwhile, for the Pirate offense, they scored 8 runs, but only one of them was after the 2nd inning. That was the home run from Oneil Cruz. So, luckily, the momentum for Pittsburgh wouldn't necessarily be halted after this game. And to be fair, this loss might have helped Pittsburgh because they knew they had to lock in. And because of that, the Pirates will start off the month of August 5-0. They finished the series with a win against the Brewers, swept the Tigers in Detroit, and now currently are up 2-0 in a series against the Cubs. Pittsburgh is now 1.5 games ahead of Milwaukee for first place in the division as Pittsburgh goes for win number 68 +1, and that's 69 giggity. And it'll be against the Chicago Cubs, a team that was fighting in the division race all of last year. This year, not as much, currently 54 and 63. Here's a look at both lineups for this game, 1 to 9. Regular starters in for the Pirates, as on the hill would be the red-hot Jordan Yamamoto. His ERA at the end of May was in the high 5s, low 6s. He's got it to 3.63. He's been outstanding these past couple months. As Starling Marte, the longtime Pirate, going to start this game off with a strikeout. Then here's Anthony Rizzo. Routine fly out to left center. Mark Canha totally misses it. It goes off of his head. MLB The Show, please patch your fielding because it absolutely sucks right now. I don't know what to say. They didn't even count that as an error, too. Chris Bryant, however, the next batter would strike out. And luckily for the Pirates, Rizzo would not score as Yu Darvish on the hill for Chicago. 4-9, 4.01 ERA for him on the season. As here's Brian Reynolds. He's going to strike out on the low cutter. And then here's Josh Bell, 2-2 pitch. He's just a window shopper because he's just looking. Going down to the outside fastball, we advance to the second. Dylan Carlson rips a single, and this is the base runner the Pirates need. Carlson was thinking too, and could have been out at first had Rizzo actually been covering the bag, but okay. So now here's O'Neal Cruz with 1 out, 2-2 pitch, and the rookie would strike out of a low curveball. Nice pitch from Darvish. As we advance to the bottom of the third, here's Mark Canha. He strikes out on the cutter. And Yu Darvish and Jordan Yamamoto looking good so far. Speaking of Yamamoto, he is up at the plate, and he's actually going to rip a single into center field. Yamamoto, one of the many pitchers not known for their bat, but hey, base runner. Would the Pirates capitalize? No, they would not, as Brian Reynolds flies out to short. And we advance now to the fourth. Kyle Schwarber up at the dish. He's going to strike out on the curveball. Nice pitch from Yamamoto as this game is still scoreless. Here's Wilson Contreras now. He goes down on the four-seam fastball. And now we go bottom four. Josh Bell leading the inning off. And Bell doing what he does best. And that's taking balls out the park. And the Pirates are on the board. Josh Bell's 42nd home run of the season, which does not lead baseball, believe it or not. Jorge Soler has 43. And then here's Bo Bichette with a runner on. He goes deep in the left, and the Pirates will take a 3-0 lead. Bo's 19th of the season. Now here's Francisco Mejia. That one, deep in the left center, should drop for extra bases, or not, as Starling Marte makes an incredible catch in center field. Let's go to the fifth now. Darvish on the bunt. Bell throws it to second. Cruz hit as he throws, but the play at first would be in time for the double play. And we go to the bottom of the fifth. 3-0 lead for Pittsburgh. Brian Reynolds. That one is crushed into center. Doesn't have enough distance. Not quite, but it will go off the wall. We got some base running confusion here between Newman and Reynolds, but Reynolds would stay at first for probably the longest single I've ever seen. Justin Steele would now enter for the Cubs, 5.4 ERA, as he would get Josh Bell out, believe it or not. Would he get Dylan Carlson? Yes, he would. On the changeup, and let's now go to the sixth. Anthony Rizzo leading things off. That one goes into left, and it will barely drop fair. And that one will go to the wall for extra bases. Khan has trouble retreating it. That'll be a double. Chris Bryant, however, would strike out. Wilson Contreras now. That one is fouled off. 2-2 pitch, and he strikes out. Yamamoto still scoreless through 6. On the bottom of the 6th, lefty on lefty crime, and that's O'Neal Cruz taking it deep for his 16th home run of the season. Cruz has been outstanding this past month or so. Here is Mark Canha now going to try to extend the lead as that one is lined deep in the left. Doesn't quite have the distance, but it would go off the wall for extra bases as Canha will retreat to second for a double. Can he be driven in? Doesn't look like it, as Yamamoto will fly out to right, and it would be caught as the score remains 4-0. Let's go to the 7th now. Jason Kipnis, the veteran, gets out one into right center. Brian Reynolds totally runs past the ball, and Kipnis, instead of a single, because of that, would get a triple. So the potential first run of the game is 90 feet away from home now for Chicago. Hernan Perez, however, would strike out. And then the 9-hole hitter, Ian Happ, pinch hitting. That one could drop perfectly in the left for a single or not. Mark Hanna will dive and make the catch, saving a run. What a defensive play. Hanna's trying to show that he provides a lot of offensive value, but also does some great things with the glove as well. And we go to the bottom of the frame. Duncan Robinson now in for Chicago, not to be mistaken with the basketball player for the Miami Heat. 1-2 pitch for Kevin Newman. His first battle will single into center field, so the Pirates got themselves a base runner and might be able to capitalize. Here's Josh Bell now, going to try to go oppo-popo, and that one barely gets over the fence for a home run. Bell's second of the day. Not one of his towering shots, but it does the job. And now it's 6-0 on to the 8th. That would have normally been a base hit for Anthony Rizzo, but because of his shift, he would be out. Now here's Chris Bryant. That one might have the distance, not quite, but it does go off the wall for extra bases, and Bryant will get a stand-up double with 2 outs. Next batter, Kyle Schwarber, will single it into center. Chris Bryant heads home, and the Cubs are finally on the board, as it is now 6-1. On to the bottom of the 8th, Corey Guerin, now in for Chicago, 5.75 ERA. And the Pirates are going to try to put a few insurance runs on the board. Leadoff batter O'Neal Cruz would get a base hit. Nice defensive play by the shortstop, but Cruz is safe at first. Next batter, or actually a couple batters later, Mark Hanna takes a shot into left, will place the bat down gently, and the Pirates will take an 8-1 lead. His 28th home run of the season, 446 feet, a bomb. Now here's Brian Reynolds, a few batters later. That one will go into right center, or left center, sorry, for extra bases. Run will come home from first, and the Pirates will now make it 9-1. But are they quite done? Let's see, as Tyson Miller would enter the game. His ERA is 8.1, and his first batter is Josh Bell. 2 recipes for disaster if you're the Chicago Cubs. And Reynolds would get a base hit into left field, not quite over the fence, but that would be a double for Josh Bell, his 3rd extra base hit of the day. Reynolds scores, and it is now 10-1. Cubs just trying to get out of this inning alive. Here's Dylan Carlson now. That one deep, and it is over the fence for a home run. His 20th of the season, and the Pirates now lead it 12-1. O'Neal Cruz, he started the inning off. Will he end the inning off? I don't know. That one is deep into right center. Would be caught at the track by Marte. And the Pirates put up 6 runs here in the 8th as we go to the 9th. Emmanuel Clase in for Pirates. Just going to try to finish this game off. Hernan Perez would strike out on the 100-mile-an-hour cutter. Here's P.J. Higgins, pinch hitter. That one goes over the head of Josh Bell. So 2 runners on, 2 outs. Maybe the Cubs can start a rally, or maybe not, as Starling Marte flies out to right. Carlson under it, and the Pirates with a dominant 12-1 win. They sweep the series here over the Chicago Cubs. The team just hit the ball really well. What else can I say? 6 runs in the 8th inning, 17 hits in total, bunch of extra base hits. Yu Darvish wasn't awful. The bullpen for the Cubs, however, was quite bad. Every main starter got multiple base hits except for Francisco Mejia. Home runs for Bichette, Carlson, Cruz, Hanna, and 2 for Josh Bell. They all drove in runs along with Brian Reynolds. Yamamoto obviously gets the win, and Clase finished it off. So during the simulation, we would get an injury. Dellin Betances is out for 1 to 2 months. So that might make that trade an absolute disaster if he's just barely even going to play for us. After simulating another week, we are now 3 games ahead of Milwaukee in the division at 71-54. Mark Hanna is hitting .353, so we have the overwhelming leader in average home runs and RBIs. Josh Bell is like 10 more home runs than anyone in the National League. Hanna's batting average is better by like .20, and then Josh Bell has nearly 30 RBIs more than the next highest player. That's incredible. So looking at how everyone has done, Mike Minor's been kind of disappointing. So has Dellin Betances, who is now hurt. Mitch Henagar, his numbers haven't really changed too much. He does come off the bench, so that is to be expected. And then Trey Cabbage, the AA player we got, is having a solid year. So we are going to make a quick roster move If you remember, we did send down Jace Fry just to get his act together, and he is pitching really well. But we're not going to call him up. We're going to call up Richard Rodriguez, a guy who was sent down back in May. I had planned on calling him up a lot earlier, but just based on circumstances, Rodriguez stayed down in AAA. Fry will likely join him back in the majors soon. So that'll do it for the episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, have a good one. Deuces.